We're here with Matteo from the Roadster Life channel, which is a very famous Italian car channel, and we're going to have a bit of a chit-chat about what we've seen today at the Fiat Hub. So, which cars did you see today that you really enjoyed?
Oof, that's too many to list. I mean, as we said earlier, the only problem with the Heritage Hub is that it's sensory overload. I mean, there's just too much stuff and you just can't take it all in. So for me, it's nearly impossible to pick a favorite, actually, really. I mean,
What piqued your interest the most, though?
But I mean, we are similar in this sense, I guess, because more than the glamorous race cars or the more prestigious one-offs, I'm attracted by the more ordinary cars preserved in museum-like pristine conditions, because you never see them.
Like the Marea 20 valve.
The Marea 20 valve, I mean, it's been ages since I last saw one. I mean, I don't especially like the car, even, but I mean, just the fact that it still exists, it's mind-blowing. So those are usually those that catch more my attention, because I mean, here in Italy, thankfully, we have a lot of nice collections, nice events, nice museums, especially here in the northern area. So I'm spoiled. I'm kind of used to see Lamborghini Miuras, to see Lancia Stratos. I love them, and of course, I'm grateful for the possibility of seeing them, but I'm kind of used to them as well. So whenever I see something that it's less special in theory, but it's probably rarer in actuality, I mean in reality, that's great.
I think my favorite was seeing the Panda identical to mine, because I've never been in a museum other than the lane where they have some of my vehicles, but where they have a car in identical condition to the car that I daily drive at home. That was very special to see that, because when I first got the Panda 17 going 18 years ago, they had a reputation like a Yugo. They were just a throwaway car. They were a bit of a joke, whereas now to see 3 or 4 on display in a museum, that was very special to me. I really enjoyed that. That was kind of a whoa moment. I quite liked that. But it was very, very good. But like you said, we have about 2.5 hours?
Yeah, 2 hours. It's just 2 hours the tour, and I mean, it's great. I mean, it's much better than nothing. Of course, we're very grateful for that. But I mean, I could lose a day or two there. Easily. So they could lock them in. They could lock me in, and I will spend there a couple of days full. I mean, nitpicking, looking at everything.
Was it unusual for you to go back? Because obviously you used to be a designer for Fiat, so that was, especially because a lot of those cars are from around that period. Did you find it quite interesting to go back?
Not related to the cars especially, because I worked there 2 years between 2007 and 2009. So, I mean, these cars were already older than those days, but the building brings back memories. Because I used to work right beside it. Officina 83, it is the Centro Stile. And so I used to go there every morning for a couple of years. And so it brings back memories, absolutely, and I haven't been back since then, so that's great. And as I told you the anecdote when we were there, that long before the Heritage Hub was a thing, these collections were scattered in various abandoned warehouses, and some of them were already in the Mirafiori premises. And that unique Barchetta prototype, it was kind of a secret. I mean, a colleague of mine said to me, hush, hush, Matteo, I have to show you something. And he brought me through several doors. We sneaked from our centro stile into this adjacent warehouse where these prototypes were kept, and we lifted the cover, and here there was this, the first time I ever saw the Barchetta prototype, the coupe Barchetta prototype that I didn't know it existed. I mean, there had been a prototype by Maggiora presented at the Turin Motor Show, but that is a different thing. And by the way, I don't know if it still exists.
Oh, okay. But I suppose there must have been a lot of projects. I mean, I remember you sent out an email to your followers through the Roadster Life channel about when Fiat decided to make a cheaper version of the Seicento, and that didn't go very well.
No, it was a doomed project. That was also a column that I published on Auto Italia, and it was kind of a fun anecdote from a project that really was starting badly from the get-go. I mean, it was a project that I knew from the beginning that it was only going to be a stinker.
Yeah.
I mean, it was never going to work. The problem is that they wanted to make a car they could sell profitably at 5,000 euros.
Yeah.
And even the Seicento, I mean, was retailing for 7,700. So they took the Seicento and tried to decontent it to bring it down to the target price. I mean, it ended up being, I don't know, I mean, something nobody will ever want. I mean, fixed side windows, fixed passenger seat, optional rear seats. I mean, it really was something. But from a design standpoint, it was particularly difficult because it was a new brand. It was to be a new brand. So you kind of establish a brand new nameplate, a new brand from an existing car is already a faux pas.
Yeah.
Because for budgetary reasons, of course, we weren't allowed to change the body tooling. So it was kind of, okay, let's take the Seicento, but just change the bumpers, change the bonnet, all the bolt-on parts. And to establish a new visual identity for a new brand that way, I mean, it's bound to fail. I mean, there's only so much creativity can achieve. I mean, and we were pretty demotivated about that project, and thankfully, Fiat dodged a bullet there. They finally saw reason, and it was cancelled, and it was never done.
I remember you saying one time that Fiat had done some market research about launching a budget brand,
Yeah.
and then being very surprised when most of the public already assumed they were a budget brand.
Yeah, and actually, when this was first mooted, I did a joke about it, which wasn't well received, of course, and did nothing for my career, because they said, we want to make a new brand that it's lower tier, a cheaper brand than Fiat. And I said out loud, I mean, a shittier brand than Fiat, how's that possible? I mean, of course, it wasn't well received.
No, I think why.
That kind of humor. But I mean, yeah, from the market research, they researched the target customer, and the target customer already was a Fiat customer. Many had older models, and when they were asked what they wanted, of course they wanted something more aspirational that wasn't a Fiat.
Yeah, okay.
So, and they did not think highly of the Fiats they owned. So, I mean, it was a hard sell from the beginning. I mean, it was kind of illuminating to see this market research.
Do you think there is a future for Fiat? Because of all the Stellantis brands, it's the one that's been left behind the most. They have a very small range, and it's very centric on one design language of this 500. I mean, I remember as a child, the vast range of Fiat cars. I mean, they went from tiny little city cars up to huge, in my mind, limousines with the 131 or even like the bigger ones than that. Do you think there's still a future for Fiat?
Yeah, if you play your cards right, I think so. At least in some select markets, like in Italy, Western Europe, and other markets where Fiat is strong, like Brazil, etc. But for the European market, the old generalist automaker that Fiat was, of course, is no longer viable in the current environment. But I believe that the success of Dacia, for example, could be an example. I mean, if I was in charge, I will direct, I will make sure that Fiat has like those four to five models. I mean, Dacia-like in terms of practicality and
Yep.
pricing,
Yep.
but with some more flair.
Yeah.
Because, of course, to justify and to use as a selling point their Italian brand and origin.
Yeah.
That could, I believe that could work in the European market, to be a budget, but cheap and cheerful, let's say, Dacia rival or Dacia alternative. I think that could work. The generalist Fiat of old, I think there's no point in bringing it back.
Yeah.
Because as we have seen generalist brands,
Yeah.
they just don't work anymore,
Yeah.
even if they are not Fiat.
As you said earlier on, everyone wants to be aspirational now.
Yeah, I mean, beyond a certain price and size, people will want a different brand anyway.
Yeah. And even companies like Dacia still sell this aspirational lifestyle. Yes, they do the super basic models, but the majority of the ones you see have SUV overtones, and they sell this lifestyle of like, oh, I go paragliding and mountaineering, and no, I really drive it to Tesco's, but generally it is seen as sort of the much more aspirational ones are the ones that you see a lot more of. But you've now left all that behind, and you're now a content creator, you're a YouTube, you're an author. How have you found that? What's it like to be like that in Italy? Have you enjoyed it?
Very much, very much. As I wrote in some articles that they published on Medium, I mean, writing about cars is more fun than actually making them.
Because you're now published in the UK through Auto Italia now as well, aren't you?
Yeah, I got a column on Auto Italia, which I'm very proud of, because it's a really great magazine, and I'm really proud, to be a kind of Italian correspondent. I love it, and I really enjoy the collaboration with them. And yeah, I mean, to be a content creator for me was kind of a way to be independent, to not being tied to the corporate life, which is the thing that I was suffering. I mean, I was never cut for, corporate life, 9 to 5, badge in, badge out, and respect all the various nonsense that goes on with a big corporation.
Yeah.
I mean, all the internal politics and all the.
Yeah.
I was never cut out of that cloth, and this independence, and making a living out of what I love to do and what I love most. I mean, that's priceless. I mean, I'm not making a lot of money, probably never will, but it doesn't matter as long as I'm comfortable, because I'm making what I love every day, each day, and I mean that's the best you can ask for.
Well, what about a little bit of advice for us? Because we're just starting out, and you've been doing this for quite some time. And as you say, you make content every day. You do one video a week, 2 videos a week.
It's one video a week.
One video a week, and you've been at this for quite some time. Have you run out of ideas yet?
No, I never will. I don't think I will, because even if you have already treated the subject, there's always a way that you can treat it again differently. Put a different spin on it.
Yeah.
And also, I believe that Italian motoring history is so varied,
Yeah.
so complex,
Yeah.
that you never run out of stuff to discover. And I don't think I'll ever run out of ideas. The main constraint I have with Roadster Life is that I often have the ideas, but I lack the footage.
Yeah.
I need images, videos of this car, and I don't have it, and I can't procure it. That's the main sticking point, not the lack of ideas. Absolutely. So, and for example, many viewers, they constantly, they say, do this, do that.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And I say, yes, I will, when I'll find one to film,
Yeah.
which is not easy. I mean, I've been asked a lot about the Lancia Kappa Coupe
Yeah.
and the Lancia Kappa in general, but I mean, I haven't yet found an owner willing to let me film one. And that's why it hasn't happened yet. It will happen in the future.
Do you find to a certain extent, though, that because your channel is in English, and I've noticed that most people who comment on your channel are responding in English, that it is a much more sort of American and British audience, so you find maybe a little bit more difficult to connect with Italian owners?
Kinda. I mean, let me explain. I mean, to do it in English, it was a conscious decision, despite my awful accent. I mean,
But it makes it unique.
yeah, I mean, it was a decision because I wanted to, because I thought there was a niche of sharing these Italian stories
Yeah.
to people that would not know about them
Yep.
or didn't have access to them because of the language barrier.
Yeah.
So British, American, Australian, all the English-speaking world was my target audience. Italian car fans from abroad. Of course, having a thick Italian accent, it's a problem, of course, because I mean I noticed that it's a pretty divisive issue. I mean, people either love it or hate it.
I'm in the love it category because it gives it character.
Thank you
And
very
it
much.
also makes it sound like you know what you're talking about. So I'm definitely in the love it category.
But I heard from many people that they just can't stand it. And I mean, it's fair. I mean, simply I have to accept that, I will never please everybody, and I will stick with those who love it and be grateful about it and be grateful.
But the people will, it's one of the things with YouTube is that it's a very open season with the comments section. I mean, I noticed recently we lent the Alpine A110 to Matt from Furious Driving, and we met in the beautiful English city of Guildford. It's not beautiful. It's horrible. It's a ring road.
I don't know, never been there.
It's a ring road. It's lots of like industrial things. It was raining, and most of the comments were, "Oh, this car was for mountain passes. You should be in the Alps. You should be doing this." And it's very like you were saying about not being able to get footage. Matt obviously was like, "Well, this is the only opportunity I have to drive this car is in the rain on the Guildford ring road. So I'm going to go and I'm going to use it and I'm going to have some fun." But yet people were sort of still criticizing that it wasn't how the car was designed to be used. But that was his only opportunity to do so.
I mean, you just can't please everyone.
That's
mean, my advice to new YouTubers, future YouTubers, etc., would be never stop having fun.
Yeah.
Never lose sight of the reason why you are doing these videos in the first place.
Yeah, true. Very true.
Because inevitably YouTube, it'll be, high and lows. I mean, some videos do well, some completely forgotten. I mean, and it will always happen. And some people will love it, some people will hate it. But I mean, you have to keep the focus on having fun, bring out the material and the stories you care about. And then if it resonates, that's fantastic. If it doesn't, okay, we had fun and we move on.
Yeah, yeah,
That's the only, I believe it's the only way you can keep doing it without burning out.
yeah.
Because it is a long game. I mean,
How many years have you been doing it?
3 years.
3 years.
3 years. And at first I had no idea about video editing, audio. My first videos, which you can't see anymore because I was ashamed of them, I deleted them all because the quality just wasn't there. But one video at a time, I go better, and now they're pretty nice.
Yeah, they are.
They could be better, but they're pretty nice.
I think they're pretty good. I really do.
Thank you.
Yeah, your quality and the way that you sort of edit the material, because you have some of your own material and you fit it in with archive material, it's actually very well done. It's very watchable.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Thank you very much for our deep lesson in how to use YouTube and some of the history of the Fiat Hub and your time in the Mirafiori. That was the Mirafiori factory we were in?
Yeah, Mirafiori Heritage Hub.
Yeah. So thank you for that. We're going to take your advice and probably ignore all of it. Sean, on the other hand, Sean is behind the camera today, so he is. Hi, Sean. Will probably be much more, as I say, in a position to take that in. And Matteo, thank you very much for to come and spend a little time with us this morning in Turin.
Wow, thank you very much. It's been my pleasure. And by the way, his panda is on Roadster Life.
That's a perfect way to end it. Thank you.